Hey YouTube, in my last video I left off where we just ended up in Beck's native world. It appeared, and she told us that we were gonna have to learn the ability that the vampire taught her to turn invisible. Apparently the name of the little orc that she already knew was named Rizzo. They end up getting like a banquet for us and stuff like that. Like even pull out some regular deer for Onyx Scar, and I guess the dog heads. Beck ends up like going into a corner by herself, and she ends up drinking absinthe, and Rizzo gives her, not gives her, but gives her orc blood. Uh, and she kind of has to stay there and like meditate for a while. But either before that or after that, she tells us pretty much to turn invisible. We're gonna have to walk the place called the Glooms or enter the Glooms. But she pretty much says that entering the Glooms is gonna be like where we could see everything. It's gonna look slightly different. We can't really interact with it, and it can't interact with us unless it's something that is or lives in the Glooms or could see into it and enter it. Uh, and then, again, I don't remember if this was now or later, but she tells us that Nina could only, because we're going to have to eat a bug, and the bug's going to go into our brain, and we're going to use that to, like, link or connect with, and the bugs that we eat are going to connect with her bugs. So we're all, like, linked together. Like I said, and because of this, Nina can't go. She tells Nina that she can't go without with farther than 20 feet from her, and the cat people and the dog people, since dogs are real dogs and cats kind of already walk the glooms, they could probably get about 40 feet. And she doesn't really tell the dwarves how far they could go. I never went past 20 with Johan. I always took it. Well, he did. She didn't tell me, so I'm not risking it. Or apparently, it's 30 feet that Nina could pass. But our Beck tells us that if we get beyond that range, that it's possible we could just wake up, or we could fall in and never wake up again, or we could just get consumed. So she tells us to eat one of her heal bugs, and that we can't crush it. We have to swallow it. Um, and the DM says it pretty much feels like we fall into our own shadows, and I guess everything looks dark. Uh, she also says it also we move faster here, like so everything looks slower that we're watching around us. She says go ahead and move around, and but not to leave the 30 and 40 feet. Uh, 'Cause I don't think I think with Onyx I only went to about 30 feet. Like I didn't push it all the way, maybe 35. Immediately Kotaku and the dog heads, or at least Kotaku. I don't remember if the dog heads do it, but or Kohaku. Apparently I've been saying the name wrong. Uh, and he's like, so nothing happens? And Gio's like, nothing happens. He's like, all right, I move it up to 45. And then and the Gio's like, all right. He ends up having to make a will save and something else. It might have been a fortitude. Uh, Ends up, I guess, passing the will save. He wants to make a couple rolls, if I remember right. And like immediately, like when Beck notices, she's like, oh shit. Uh, uh, drops the spell or whatever it would be considered, and then tells Kohaku that apparently or that the distance wasn't a suggestion, and he was kind of like, oh, I just wanted to see what happened, and like there was I can't remember what the DM described it being like what he had to wake up. But he did kind of say that to the rest of the party of what he experienced. I don't remember nothing significant, just feeling like he was getting in clothes and waking up, something like that. Uh, and she was like, still, you shouldn't have done that. And then the next day we walked the glooms to, I guess, meet the people that Beck wanted to meet. And the glooms is just like what I said earlier, but now we have to keep track or keep up with Beck's movement. Like she goes at a certain rate, I believe. I believe Nina's and Johan's are the lowest at 40. Uh, so she kind of just matches that. And then eventually we get to like this warehouse place and we see pretty much a party sitting there. I know Ivan and Nina end up failing their fortitude, so they end up throwing up. But enter a warehouse, and inside there's a group, and Beck introduces them as Kenji, Reno, Robertson, Lord Rena, and Father Webb. She says that they are Hunters Inc. And they seem to be surprised to see Beck. They thought she was dead. She pretty much tells the story of how she got to our world. She says that Nats and anarchists, which Nats are like the lower level vampires, kind of what I guess what she is, where they're still pretty much living and they're able to walk in the day and eat and stuff. And they said that she was cornered by them. She was about to die, and then she appeared in Mistro, like all the outsiders, stuff like that. Uh, they start talking about what's going on in this world, and they start saying how a group of hunters showed up and killed a bunch of gnats. When they break down the story, it ends up being the story whenever Johan and the Titans went into one of the more futuristic worlds, and Craven and Nina ended up killing what Johan perceived to be a goodly vampire. And like when the DM asks what does Johan do when he hears this, like I say, I seem surprised, but I'm also like I was right because there was an argument on whether or not that was a goodly vampire in that game. Uh, they also say what the vampire's name is, which I didn't get that down, unfortunately. But apparently Beck knows him and seems a little devastated by the loss. Like she asks, "Wait a minute, so and so's dead." Uh, but eventually, Beck tells us that like there's a powerful vampire that we need to meet with, and she could probably kill all of us by herself, and she's probably not going to be by herself. So we have to be careful. But we end up meeting this like female older vampire, and same thing. She seems. I never got her name either. Now that I think about it. Uh, but she seems the same thing with Beck. We're surprised that she's still alive and stuff like that, and they kind of uh, exchange stories. She does appear to notice Johan. Like apparently she was the one in the van that Craven blew the breath weapon at. Which is funny because I always kind of thought she was going to be a hag. Uh, but yeah, she like gives Johan a look a few times. And I don't remember if it's her or the other group who tells us a story of how not so long ago, or how a different group of vampires showed up from apparently another world, and then a different group of hunters showed up from another world and ended up killing these vampires. And like the vampires were supposed to be angelic, uh, but it ended up kind of collapsing the vampire hierarchy whenever this happened. And then eventually it kind of restabilized, and eventually powerful level 2 vampires rose up, and she kind of brings up how recently there's been one that made an alliance with, I guess, the anarchist vampires and the Lankins, so they're become formable. And when we kind of mention that there's one tribe left of Wemmicks that are striped, she says she might know a way to get to them, but the only way she'll tell us that is if we walk the glooms and enter this vampire, I guess, nightclub and kill him. For the most part, the party doesn't seem to have a problem with it. We end up agreeing, and next day we go off to attack this nightclub thing. And the DM tells us we walk the gloom, or so the next day we, or maybe even later. Yeah, I want to say it's the next day. I want to say we wait till daytime. Uh, End up walking the glooms. I believe they attack the outside, like a lot of times that happens in this campaign, where they attack the outside and we go inside. Uh, and the DM puts up a map and tells us to roll initiative, and let's old school DSP this. So the party starts here in this little opening. And as you can see, we see Lankins and then some gnats. Yeah, I want to say both of these are supposed to be gnats. Closer look at the Lankins and the pink-haired girl. So the DM says roll initiative, and Johan rolls a 20. That's a mob person that doesn't show up yet, which I didn't realize he was so high, actually. Nina looks like Morgana. Onyx Scar ends up rolling a 1. And you can see the dog is like all of Nina's goons are like back to back together. But Johan and Basker end up rushing this one. Nina, or I want to say Kohaku, and Beck end up fighting these two. Onyx Scar just not too long ago put his second enemy into Vampire, so he goes straight after this guy, trying to get the favorite enemy pluses. Most of them go down pretty. I don't remember too much of what happens down here. Johan, between spells, Johan and Basker, this one goes down quick. Ivan is like here. I want to say Onyx is like there, and Beck is like there. Something like that. Either way, Ivan and Beck are like right next to each other. Like, or not Beck, but Nina. And Nina is like right under Ivan. And Ivan ends up rolling a critical 1, ends up confirming it. I don't remember what the percentile he rolls, but it ends up being he hits Nina for double damage. He rolls the damage, ends up being 30. So he does 60 points. Nina drops to -1, which I found pretty amusing myself. I even joked that Onyx was going to attack him, saying that I knew this would happen. But Beck's bugs end up healing her, so she ends up getting up and even actually continues the fight. And she was also like stunned for a round, so I think even whenever she got picked up, she was still stunned. Which, truth be told, I think getting knocked down for the fight, you probably should not be able to fight the rest of the fight. Maybe. Well, we end up pushing to the back of the bar. Once when we drop these two, Johan and Basker attack this one. I know Onyx goes down to this one. I want to say Nina Spells kills at least one of these, if not both of these. And then I could tell by the way the DM's talking that we're still in initiative, we're still in combat, but I guess Nina's player didn't realize that. So like he asked like who's a type 2, and the DM's like the vampire we're looking for, because again, I didn't get his name either. The vampire that was their leader. He says this is a type 2, but this is obviously not them. And then she says that she doesn't care if it's the lead vampire. She'll put him in the bag. Or actually, I think that's a girl. Put her in the bag anyways. Uh, and then like yells at Kohaku, to help her, and and the DM's like it's not Kohaku's movement, and and then when it does get to Kohaku, like he does kind of ask, like, "Well, how's the rest of the party?" Or like kind of ask, "Why are we still in initiative?" And the DM's like, "Well, we haven't got to the other people yet. You know, you have to wait to see how they react." And yeah, when they get to me, I keep rushing, I keep pushing, like Johan, because Johan and Onyx are like right there, and yeah, I double movement down to this room. Uh, when we get down here, all of this is black and this door is closed. I have Onyx Scar. I want to say Onyx Scar is like here, or maybe there. I'm not sure, but either way, he opens the door. Uh, Johann is like there whenever the door opens, and we see uh, we see this vampire, and then there's this one at the time I want to say was like down here, and then there's another Lankin that's under all of this. Let's see if I could get him. Like that one was like one up. So when it's Johann's turn, because since Johan joined this group, he hasn't used his shield at all. Uh, Unlike when he was with the Titans. But seeing this, like at first, I'm thinking I could shield bash, just run in there, because with the improved shield bash, they don't get attack of opportunities on me. But I realized that like Onyx is like right, or someone's right there. I want to say it's Onyx. Uh, so I won't be able to charge. So I say, go ahead and let those two take attack of opportunity on me. I'm going to get right here, and then I'm going to go into my first dwarven stance, because I just became a dwarven defender when I turned level 20, or when he turned level 20. So my AC like jumps up to 40, and then when I go into the dwarven stance, it goes into 44. Uh, Neither of them get a hit on me with an attack of opportunity. Uh, Slowly, the party starts coming in here, fighting them off. Johan pretty much goes one on one with the top vampire, and they go back and forth. But for the most part, with his AC so high, he's only able to really get the first attack. So Johan's only taking like 15 at a time, which is nothing for him. And after a while, we wear down this whole mob that's in this room, and Johan gets the last kill on the top one. And that's where the DM ends it. For future predictions, which we're actually playing tonight, uh, I don't know. I know that I'm gonna have Johan break through, because if you saw on the map, there was still another door and a handful of black on the screen. So I'm gonna have Johan clear the map before I do anything. Usually I would loot, but yeah, there being a unsecured door, that's probably uh, thinking logically, a character would probably check it before they loot. As for the head vampire telling us where the Wimmick is, I don't know. Apparently, she's gonna show us a way to get to another world. Also, um, I do still have uh, Band of Titans video to record. We did play the session, but really, besides session 0, all I really got to talk about is a fight. So I haven't really been in a rush to do it. And also, we're going to stay on this one for a little bit before we go back. So, you want to hear about those, check out my next videos. You want to figure out this whole story, watch all my videos, and check you later.